States Border Patrol. I'm here because I'm concerned that a lot of the work that we have been doing in terms of convincing the Mexican government that they should be a partner with us, if we don't deal in facts and if we don't deal in accuracy, then that partnership may not take place. And the reason I say that is because when Mr. Chairman, when you said that when a government fails to act, then it basically is complicit. I think all of us are complicit in the situation that we've seen on the border here today. I'm in my 9th year in Congress, and since coming here, I've been advocating that we ought to be funding 1,000 Border Patrol agents every single year, along with their equipment and technology to support them, to act as force multipliers. That hasn't happened. We have a very spotty track record in terms of the support that we give our premier border agency. Even after 9/11, we haven't done our job as a Congress. So when we fail to act, we're complicit, and we as a Congress are complicit in this. There's a lot of frustration at all different levels. I was born and was raised on the border. I represent a border district. I spent almost exclusively my entire career in the Border Patrol working along the U.S.-Mexico border. So I know the challenges. You know, when you hear Chief Aguilar talk about the priority that a chief has to make sure that not only are you operationally sound, but that you also know those that are in charge across the border, he's exactly right. When Sheriff West talked about just knowing the Presidente Municipal, which is like a mayor, and nobody else, well, that's not anybody's fault except the sheriff. I mean, there are ways to be able to go and do liaison in Mexico for the sheriff, for the chief of the Border Patrol, and anybody else that has that as a priority, but you've got to have it. If you worry about the issue of corruption, then when some incident occurs, then you're not going to know who to call. You're not going to have any kind of a relationship with an individual that may be able to help you. I can relate to you one important incident that occurred to me when I was chief in McAllen, and that was we got a report that one of our detention officers had been kidnapped. And because I knew the head guy of Customs and the head guy of the PGR in Tamaulipas, I was able to call, find out that was not the case. They actually responded, went to the place where this individual was supposedly being held. The individual was there, but he was there voluntarily. He had not been kidnapped. But if you don't establish those kinds of relationships, if you don't understand that's an important part of your duty on an international border, then you really have no business being in charge of any entity. I'm concerned about this particular incident because of the misimpression that it sends nationally, and because of the sensationalism that's associated with it. And I can tell you that when I first heard of this incident, I called the ambassador and I called the Mexican consul and I said, please expedite an investigation as soon as possible, because some of the things that I heard then and I heard today just didn't make sense to me. I worked, as I said, all my adult life on the border. I never saw a .50 caliber machine gun on the back of any kind of a military style vehicle. And I'm an Army veteran, and I know what that looks like. And those of us that served in the military know that those are pretty impressive weapons. Under stress, it can certainly appear to be a .50 caliber to somebody that's not familiar with it. But there's a big difference between making a statement conclusively that this was the Mexican military without having all the facts, and making a statement that it was a military-style vehicle. I think the bottom line for me is that we as members of Congress need to do three very important things. The first one is we need to understand the problem. We need to have all the facts. And then we need to be willing to act on it. When we've got members that don't understand the operational necessity for checkpoints, as my colleague from New Mexico was mentioning, then there's a serious issue. It's not for show. It's not to tell the people that they're secure. Those checkpoints are very effective in taking down drug loads and also other felons of different types. And the chief can give you all those statistics. They don't take officers from the line because, as you mentioned, Congressman Pierce, you've been out there on the line with some of the officers. I can tell you this. When officers are assigned out there and they apprehend undocumented people, somebody has to process them. I thought we had done a much better job of computerizing the record checks and the forms so that that had reduced the processing time considerably. I take great exception with the statement made by an agent or agents that say that they work the line for 2 hours and then they have to spend 6 hours processing. Unless they're catching 40, 50 people among the two agents, that doesn't sound right to me. But that means that we have to bring, for instance, the chief of the El Paso Border Patrol, give him an idea of what we're looking for, so that he can bring in the agent in charge of Deming or Lordsburg or Silver City, wherever we're interested in, and take an accounting on that. Every single station has an operational report monthly where they report operational time versus processing time. And all of that can be analyzed by the staff. All of that is important as we go about trying to support the agency that has the lead responsibility for protecting our nation's borders. I fear that we sometimes fail to appreciate the work that they're doing. Sometimes we fail to look at ourselves for our unwillingness to hold ourselves accountable, and also two administrations since I've been in Congress, the Clinton administration and the Bush administration. We need to do a better job. We need to give them the resources. We need to give them the personnel. You heard Chief Aguilar say that they can assimilate, train, and deploy 2,000 agents a year. When Mr. Bonner talks about 25% of the Border Patrol, I can tell you that's very unrealistic because there's a training process, there's a seasoning process. You don't want to have a disparity between trained, seasoned officers versus trainee agents because that's a prescription for disaster. The border is a dangerous place, as you can see by those videos. The border is not a place for amateurs. The border needs to be a well-structured area with somebody in the lead. The lead belongs to the United States Border Patrol. The problems that they've had in terms of resources, it's because we have failed them. We have failed them. We've failed our country, and in the process we failed ourselves. We are as complicit as anyone else might be in the system, and I would strongly urge that we change that. And that's why I'm so grateful to you, Mr. Chairman, that you're willing to take this on, because I've been advocating before the creation of Homeland Security with the Judiciary Committee. I always tell my colleagues, and by the way, Chief Aguilar used to work for me in McAllen, so I know him to be a straight shooter. He was an outstanding agent and patrol agent in charge, and is today an outstanding choice for that national chief. We need to support people like that. And then we also need to understand that where there's a void, because of our failure to act, you're going to have those that jump in that void. You see that by these sheriffs. They see an opportunity there. They see a frustration because they don't have the resources. Their funding comes from the county. That's their primary source of funding. That's the responsibility. So I certainly don't blame them, because having good relations with all the different law enforcement entities is vital. You can bet that I'm going to mention to Chief Gilbert, who's now the chief in El Paso, that he needs to reach out and do some of these things that were identified and spoken about here this afternoon. But most of all, we need to understand that